You know what's really strange? Some people can describe their dream life in perfect detail. The house, the money, the freedom. They talk about it so vividly it sounds like they've already lived it. But then, years pass, and nothing changes. Not because they're lazy, not because they're not smart enough. There's something happening inside the brain that almost nobody talks about. And once you understand it, you start seeing yourself differently too. Stay with me for this one, because it might explain why so many people stay stuck for years while genuinely believing they want more. Think about someone you know, maybe a friend, maybe a family member, maybe even you. They talk about starting the business, writing the book, losing the weight, changing their life. And when they talk about it, you can tell they mean it. But then months go by, then a year, then another, and the dream is still sitting there untouched. The weird part is, it's usually not just laziness, and it's not always fear either. It's a bunch of small mental patterns working together quietly in the background, making people feel productive while keeping them completely stuck. So, let's break it down. 1. Your brain can confuse imagination with progress. Scientists discovered something fascinating. When you vividly imagine doing something, your brain activates in ways that look surprisingly similar to actually doing it. So when someone constantly daydreams about their future, the brain starts handing out tiny emotional rewards. A little sense of progress, a little satisfaction, and weirdly, that can reduce the urgency to take action. It's almost like looking at food when you're starving. Sometimes just staring at it long enough makes you feel slightly less hungry. That's what happens with big dreams too. The vision becomes so emotionally real that the brain starts whispering, "We're already getting somewhere." Meanwhile, nothing has actually happened yet. 2. Fear is hiding behind the excitement. The people with the biggest dreams are sometimes carrying the biggest fears. Not just fear of failing publicly, a deeper fear. The fear of finding out they're not who they hoped they were. Because right now the dream is still perfect, untouched, safe, full of possibility. But the second they actually try, reality enters the picture. Maybe it won't work. Maybe they won't be as talented as they imagined. Maybe they'll have to face limits they've avoided thinking about for years. So instead of risking that pain, they stay in preparation mode forever. Because as long as the dream stays untested, it still feels possible. And possible can feel a lot safer than reality. 3. They keep waiting to feel ready. Ask someone why they haven't started yet, and you'll hear things like, "I'm not ready. The timing isn't right. I need more confidence first." But confidence rarely shows up before action. It usually shows up because of action. Nobody feels fully prepared in the beginning. People start messy, awkward, uncertain. Then slowly, through repetition, confidence starts catching up. The stuck person is waiting for motivation to open the door, when the truth is, action is the key. So they wait a few weeks, a few months, sometimes years, still waiting for a feeling that was never supposed to come first. 4. Overthinking drains real energy. Thinking uses energy, real mental energy. That exhausted feeling you get after making too many decisions, that's real. So imagine someone spending hours planning every detail, imagining every possible outcome, preparing for every possible problem. By the time it's finally time to work, their brain already feels tired. And tired people usually don't take action. They scroll, they distract themselves. They say, "I'll start tomorrow," then tomorrow comes, and the whole cycle repeats again. 5. The dream conflicts with their identity. Deep down, everybody carries an internal story about who they are. Not the polished version they show other people. The deeper one, the private one. I always quit. I never finish things. People like me don't succeed. And when a dream clashes with that identity, the brain resists it. Quietly, you procrastinate, you delay, you suddenly find reasons why now isn't the right time. Not because you're weak. Because the brain prefers what feels familiar, even when the familiar thing is painful. The old version of you still feels safer than the unknown version you're trying to become. 6. The dream itself becomes addictive. Talking about dreams feels amazing. When people describe their future plans, they feel ambitious, and the brain loves that feeling. But the actual work? That part is repetitive, slow, sometimes painfully boring. So eventually, the brain starts preferring the emotional high of talking about the dream over the discomfort of building it. That's the trap, not laziness. Just a brain that discovered a shortcut to feeling successful without doing the hard part yet. So what do? You stop waiting for the perfect mindset. You stop trying to think your way into action. And you take one small step before your brain has time to negotiate with you. One imperfect action. Today. Because every action sends a message back to your mind. I'm someone who follows through, and over time that message gets stronger. The old identity starts fading. The new one starts becoming real. The dream was never the problem. The real problem was the distance between the dream and the first step. And that distance gets smaller the moment you move. If this hit close to home, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of why